All right, welcome back. Time for a little last chance Q. Coach Jason Brown, who spent the weekend watching football with the Korean Cosell. Jason, welcome back to the show. Last week, Jason, you threw a curveball, a discussion about weed and bone density. It led to a very interesting conversation and about why athletes are getting injured so often. So this week, I want to throw you a little bit of a curveball and throw at you my theory that one of the number one things damaging pro sports, the quality of play, why I think we see the inconsistency in play and why there are no great teams in the NFL, why the Los Angeles Rams go from Super Bowl title contender to won't even make the playoffs, to why the NBA sucks. There's just too much money. Athletes weren't meant to make generational wealth in a single season over the course of a career. There's just way too much money for these guys to keep the desperate, and particularly as it relates to football. Football is best played by desperate men. You take away the desperation and everybody's sitting on $20 million, $40 million, $100 million, $500 million, it's going to impact the quality of the game, and it has. Too much money in professional sports.
Yeah, I've been saying it for a while. You know, that right there, compiled with lack of investment. These cats have no investment. They have no interest in investing in the profession that has paved the way for them to make generational wealth. So it's kind of unfortunate, a little bit disrespectful to the game, the forefathers.
Jason, I want you to clarify your lack of investment comment. What do you mean by that?
So these kids, these guys now that we're paying all this money to, like you so eloquently put it, which I fully agree, they don't have any investment in the profession anymore. So that means they don't know who Joe Namath is. I don't believe Kyler Murray knows who these guys are until they tell them who they are. They walk in. I know for a fact that Jackson State, half the roster did not know who Deion Sanders was. When he took the job, half the roster did not know who Deion Sanders was. Let that sink in. That is a fact. And half the roster had to Google and figure out who he was once the people's staff and others like saying, hey, you know who Deion is? These kids, and I've coached them the last few years, I'm just telling you, they don't know who Bo Jackson is, Eric Dickerson, Barry Sanders. That is how far removed these kids are from the actual sport that is giving these kids generational wealth. To me, goes back to my theory, which is kind of like yours. We've given the keys to the Ferrari, to the Lamborghini, to the Porsche, to these kids before they ever learn to drive. We've anointed them so quickly. We've enabled them, and now they expect, and they want and expect instant gratification. Give me, give me, give me, without me ever even earning my worth. I don't have to prove my worth anymore. Tell me what quarterback's proving their worth right now. Like I will wait for days for you to show me and tell me which quarterback in the NFL has proven their actual worth besides Tom Brady. Like, I'm serious. Like, there's not a quarterback in today's NFL that has proven their worth that is even close.
Aaron Rodgers.
One? Don't know, man.
How many MVPs? You got 3 or 4 MVPs.
Yeah,
but he's basically another version of Peyton Manning. I do like your point about investment because I don't think people understand that an understanding of history, understanding whose shoulders you're standing on, who actually made it possible for you to make millions of dollars, would actually tie you to the game in a more passionate and a stronger, and would make you give more to the game if you were grateful, appreciative of, like, no, man, you know, Dick Butkus and these guys and Jim Brown and these guys paved the road for you to make all this money when they made very little. played a much safer game than what you're playing, much more physical. And so you owe a debt to those to respect the game and honor the game in a certain way. And you're right, all of that is missing. And that is because you hear people, why do they need to know who Deion is? Deion didn't play during their time or whatever. But there is, if there is no reverence for the people that came before you, you won't carry yourself in a proper way. And I'll go in a direction that it's not the easiest for you to comment on. But I would say that when I sit around and think about how I portray myself publicly, carry myself publicly, how I think about my grandmother, I think about her generation and what all they went through in order for me to go to a Ball State University and get a scholarship. And I feel like I owe a debt to them to carry myself in a certain way and not disrespect all the sacrifices they made. We aren't just old people whining and bitching. That is the reality. There doesn't seem to be a connection to the past or any respect for the past.
Your show's name is Fearless, all right? One of my mantras, mottos, quotes that I live by, acronym, is fear. And I don't believe we have fear for the coach in today's profession, basketball, football, high school, youth, college, or NFL. What I mean by fear, there's an acronym that fear means two things, Jason. It means face everything and rise, or forget everything and run. And, the bottom line is we forget everything and run nowadays. And we do not fear our coaches and our mentors. And I don't mean fear meaning I'm going to beat you up, or I'm going to pull your scholarship, or I'm going to suspend you from the league. I don't want you to fear me in that way. I want you to fear me, Jason, in a manner that you are letting me down. Me and you, yourself and I, we both feared letting our parents down. We both feared letting the people that were our forefathers or who paved the way to give us a platform, so to speak, allow us to go earn our keep and our money and our worth. We fear to let them down. Like, we don't fear to let these guys down anymore, Jason, or we wouldn't just walk down the sideline when Jason Kittle's running for a touchdown and we just totally give up. We don't fear Cliff Kingsbury. We don't fear letting that man down. We don't fear letting him get fired. We don't fear letting my teammates down. We want to sign jerseys and swap jerseys at the end of the game. We want to put on virtual reality glasses and get out of the real world and go play video games. We don't want to sleep as much, which in turn is a lack of investment again in our professional bodies that we need to do. Like me and Steve Kim yesterday, he came by the house and we watched football, and I was pointing out some things to him, and he's like, "Man, I've never thought of that." I was like, "Look at these kids' bodies. Look at all these guys on the NFL right now. Look at their bodies. Like, you're telling me they're invested for the long run, or are they invested in video games, cell phones, social media likes and retweets?" And acceptance, public acceptance from nobodies, from bottom-feeding nobodies who fake profiles, who create these things, and you're so worried about responding to them and getting them to like your content that you're not even focused on your professional jobs. NBA is the worst I've ever seen it. I've been saying that for years. NFL is the worst I've ever seen it. I've been saying it's watered down for a long time. Jason, I had this conversation. My buddy Pat Perez, Live Golf, right? 4 aces. This is the championship hat nobody can get right now. He's a Michael Jordan golfer. We had a conversation, and he thought I brought up a very interesting point. I hang out with these guys. I go golfing with them. I get to hang out inside the ropes while they're on the tour, and I get to hang out with Pat's caddy. Great dude named H. And he's been with Pat ever since high school in San Diego. Let me tell you something. It's a great point. I'm watching these young kids walk around the golf course. Young babies, all right? They all have one thing in common. Let me ask you something before I tell you this point. Do you think all these golfers know who Tiger Woods is? coming up.
Yes.
Hell yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Because golf still has etiquette. And the etiquette in golf is ingrained, and it is being taught and coached every day. Shut up around the green. Don't say nothing in a backswing. Don't say nothing in a putt. Quiet. When the usher does this and puts up quiet, please, guess what? You'll hear 30,000 people go quiet like this. Why can't we control a narrative or a crowd in the NFL, NBA, or anything else? These guys have no investment because they don't care. They have no respect for their game prior to what they do now. They don't care about what their forefathers did. Golf does. I would make every single one of my players, if I coached again, go watch a PGA golf, a live golf event, and watch how these young kids are raised, because I'm telling you right now, golf has the utmost discipline I've ever seen, and every single kid is grilled in them. And if you're not quiet while someone's around the green, that kid at 6, 7, 8 years old is getting taught real quick, and he won't make the same mistake twice. But we allow it, Jason. We don't coach it. As an old coaching adage, we either coach life or we allow life. And we're allowing these guys to have the keys to the car. They don't want to invest in themselves. They don't want to care. They don't care about their forefathers. They don't care about the game, or you would see guys giving up their bodies as we once did. But guess what the excuse is by the naysayer, Jason? We don't need to do that, coach. We're getting the bag now. We already made generational wealth. No crap. That's our point. Like, we're giving away this money, but then you expect them not to give up their body because they make the money? Well, I expect you to give up your body because you make the money. There's a complete different mindset out here, and I just can't fathom the fact that we've allowed this for so long that it is now spiraled out of control, and you have the worst league I've ever seen. You took off kickoff return.
Jason.
You took off quarterback getting hit.
I agree. Jason, I do want to, for both of our sake, I do want to say this goes beyond the players. And I look, as it relates to football, I think it starts with Roger Goodell. He's making $40, $50 million a year. He doesn't care about the quality of the NFL. He cares about surviving in that job and making sure he can keep collecting $40 to $60 million a year from the NFL. He does not care about the quality of play. He doesn't care if the players have no respect for fans and for customs and traditions. And so he just wants to survive. And that's why they got Black Lives Matter stuff, on the back of helmets and painted in end zones and all that. Whatever it takes for Roger Goodell to survive so the media doesn't get him and so, he doesn't get run out of that job, he'll sign off on any. If the media told him tomorrow, Roger, you'll lose this job if you don't let Balenciaga be the primary sponsor of the NFL, the players would all be running around in Balenciaga uniforms because all Roger Goodell wants to do is survive. He doesn't care if he desecrates what Pete Rozelle and people built before him. Doesn't care. And so it's a top down. Everybody from ownership to the people running the league to the coaches to the players. Everybody's making so much money, they could care less about the quality of the game.
Yeah, Pete Rozelle is crazy because I have a lot of pictures of Pete Rozelle. Him and my dad grew up together, went to Compton High School and Compton College together.
Hold for 1 second, JB. Hold for 1 second, JB. I want to pick up that name you just dropped. Hold up. All right. Now, go ahead.
Hey, I had to drop that. It's in my book, by the way. Hate Me Now, Love Me Later, another name drop book. But look, I got to get my shout-outs in, Jason, real eloquent. It's just unbelievable, man, that we're here at this state right now because I just don't understand that. You know what? I've never seen the sport spiral upwards. That meaning trickle upwards being a bad thing. Usually, we always used to say crap rolls downhill. Well, I'm telling you right now, crap is going uphill, and it's climbing very fast. From the youth level to high school to college with the portal and the NIL, and that's done. All these guys in the NFL were just in college or in high school, allowed to transfer unlimited amount of times. What is a transfer portal in the NFL? What is the equation? What is that? How do you equate the NFL transfer portal? What is it called in NFL? It's free agency, right? But guess what? Before these guys are under while they're under contract, we just had the guy from the Bears demand a trade. 3 years left on a contract. Demanded a trade. Guess what they did? Gave it to him. Now he's with the Baltimore Ravens. What did James Harden do 3 different times? Demand a trade under contract. What'd they do? Allow the players to have the keys to the car. So when are we going to stop that? And I got a real simple solution. Starts in college, the most impactful portion of this. Transfer portal, number 1. When a kid enters a portal, by the way, I think I broke it down on your show last week, but there's 29,000 kids in the portal right now. And it's an unbelievable number. It's going to climb. I wouldn't be shocked if there's over 50,000 kids in the transfer portal before it's all said and done this year. The Michigan quarterback just entered the portal, by the way. So, I got
Michigan starting quarterback?
McNamara, the guy that got beat out.
Oh.
So I'm just saying, you know what you do, Jason? When I enter the portal, Jason Whitlock, the head coach at Ball State, don't take me. Don't take me from the portal, because that's why we have 25,000 in there. We have guys watching the portal just to take you from one school to the other. Have we ever thought of what's called damaged goods? If you couldn't play for me at school A, what makes you think you can play for me at school B? Like, I just don't understand this rationale and this stuff, because we got to keep up with the Joneses. We got to get the bodies. We got to get these guys. Instead of being proactive and recruit high school and junior college, we'll let those levels implode, and we'll just eat each other. That's what they're doing. It's like the cows eating the cows here, because at one point they're going to run out of that same meat, and you're going to have to get back to high school and junior college, and they'll be so far gone by then, Jason, we're going to have a real epidemic on our hands, and college football is going to be bad.
Let me move on to yesterday's Sunday NFL action. Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury lost another game to the Chargers last night. Kyler Murray seemed to throw Cliff Kingsbury under the bus. Let's watch the clip.
No, it wasn't. That wasn't for Hop, actually. Schematically, I mean, we were kind of.
Kyler Murray threw a really bad interception. The pass seemed to be intended for DeAndre Hopkins. He's blaming the scheme. Why not blame his height? He clearly can't see downfield. He was throwing the ball to somebody. Anyway, your thoughts on Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury seeming to not be on the same page, and Kyler clearly, they've created a little monster there. He's a little Frankenstein. They've given him $46 million a year. He's going to run. Kingsbury's the number one reason he's there in Arizona. He wanted Kyler Murray, and now Kyler Murray can't stand him and is throwing him under a bus. Your thoughts?
That jacket he had on had an L and a U on it. Loser University, it looks like, because that's what he is. I don't understand. Maybe it's Las Vegas, but it looks like loser to me, the L. And I have to say, like, this guy is the epitome of a cancer. And it takes one bad apple to ruin a whole batch. And we continue to see this amongst everywhere. Like, we have an issue right now. On my show this morning, Jason, I had an interesting conversation with Zach Smith, former Ohio State wide receiver coach. And he's like, JB, you're right. You've been right for a long time. Nobody really has to talk about it. But I've been saying for a while, Jason, we have a fundamental issue with our youth. And I consider Kyler Murray our youth. I consider OBJ our youth. And I even consider T.O. our youth, because they directly impact the youth with their platforms. And we've continued to have this issue for quite some time. T.O. knocks out a guy yesterday in Inglewood, California, in front of a CVS, who's clearly a homeless person, or he's got no shirt on. He looks like he's impaired. There's no way he's going to fight T.O. T.O. knocks this guy out on TMZ, gets a hold of it and shows it. OBJ, intoxicated or incoherent, whatever it may be, gets thrown off an airplane on a way to L.A. from Miami. He's looking for an NFL job, by the way. And if anyone were to do that in any other profession, first of all, they're not going to get the interview at the job they were headed to, A. B, they're fired. They're not going to have any type – they're going to be blackballed. But these guys we continue to give jobs to because they can run fast or catch a ball or dribble or dunk on you or whatever and make your franchise money, i.e. Deshaun Watson. So I just don't understand how no one else comes forward and just says, you know what, when is enough enough? Like, this is the real epidemic. It's not some virus. This is the virus. We got bad leadership, bad mentors, and bad people that are in mainstream media, have big platforms, continue to use them in a negative way. And guess what? Kyler Murray, not too long ago, Jason, was one of these kids looking up to T.O. And guess what? Now you have it. Full go. You have this T.O. at quarterback. So we have this issue that's continued to trickle for the last 20 years, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. Now guess what? All the babies watching Kyler Murray throw his coaches under the bus. Now you see these guys that don't want to study film and play video games. Guess what the youth's doing right now? They're not showing up to high school games and not studying their scouting reports. And it's just a trickle-down effect that's continuing to happen, but nobody wants to address it. And unfortunately, we continue to see this, man, and it's getting out of hand, man, and it's bad for business, it's bad for sports. And that's why I brought the marijuana thing up. I think there's more to it. 900 people being injured. There's more to these things other than just what meets the eye. And another bunch of other guys go down yesterday. Another few went bite the dust and guess what? Soft tissue and bone injuries. And just crazy. I wish somebody would do more deep research, but there's more to it. There's more to it. And the lack of just pure strength, buy-in, investment like we were talking about, meaning in the weight room, what you put in your body. LeBron James pretty much has been accessible and available his entire career. And we see his body. Look what he looks like. Puts $1 million into his body a year. So, whether we like him or agree with what he does or not, which I don't, got to agree that he's mostly been available his whole life, and his body looks the dang part, and he's at least invested into the profession that he's playing in by keeping his body available. We don't see that no more. I'm not seeing it at all by any of these NFL or NBA players. They look horrible. They look like hammered crap. To be honest with you, they're so frail. They're a hit away from being out. They're a misstep away from tearing a knee or a ligament or ankle because they're just so weak. And, I don't know a player that drinks milk anymore, Jason. Do you? Milk's a non-factor. I used to have to drink milk, and I've never had a bone injury in my life, Jason. Never have I had a bone injury in my life. Just telling you. But I never smoked weed either.
Knock on wood, JB. Knock on wood where you say you may have just jinxed yourself. All right. Hey, finally, I want to move on because I want a more nuanced take. We talk about Lamar Jackson every week, but I want to give you a chance to put some more context and perspective around Lamar Jackson. They lost again. His team keeps blowing big leads. I think this is the fourth game this year. They've led by 9 points or more and found a way to lose. Lamar yesterday, or maybe today, it was yesterday, I'm sorry, after the game took to social media. Social media is a poison, and he's ingesting it. A lot of these guys are. And so someone tweeted at Lamar, when someone is asking for over $250 million guaranteed like Lamar Jackson, games like this should not come down to basically Justin Tucker. Let Lamar walk and spend that money on a well-rounded team. Lamar deleted this tweet, but he did put it out. Boy, STFU, y'all be capping too much on this app. MF never smelt a football field, never did doo-doo, but eat a D-I-C-K. Lamar deleted the tweet, but he put it out there. I think the pressure is getting to Lamar. He went all in this season on himself, bet on himself. He's representing himself, he and his mom, in a contract negotiation. It's not going that well this season for Lamar. So I want to do an approval rating so that we get a more nuanced take on Lamar's job from Coach JB, as well as job performance, character, authenticity, and it factor. So let's get to our approval rating on Lamar Jackson. All right, JB, when it comes to job performance, I'm on a scale of 0 to 25, 25 being the highest, 0 the lowest. I'm giving Lamar, he's kind of middle of the road. They're struggling in the red zone. He's not throwing touchdown passes. I think that's one of the reasons why they're struggling in the red zone, because I think he's easy to defend against the pass in the red zone. And he's easier to defend against the run because you're not dropping back as far in the red zone. So anyway, I gave him a 14 in job performance. He's kind of middle of the road this season.
Yeah, I gave him a 15. The issue is it started off with his, on fire. We even discussed it. You were like, Coach, this guy's winning. He's betting on himself. He's an MVP, clear front MVP runner. This was just about 7 weeks ago when we talked, and I was like, just wait. And clearly enough, that's what happened. Let me pick up the mic, by the way. I dropped it. I hate to see these young brothers suffer in humility, because they don't have any humility, and they won't suffer from it because they don't know anything about it. And it's crazy that I get these DMs about him last night, because I said, me and Steve Kim said, listen, I think I told you guys. You know what they all tell me, Jason? Because Lamar's defense, what does it have to do? I said he was 16 of 36. I said, just so you know why their defense gives up leads, Jason, which you just so eloquently put? Because he can't stay on the field on offense. So if their defense is on the field twice as much, guess what? There's twice as many opportunities from the other team. And you give Trevor Lawrence that many opportunities because Lamar couldn't sustain a drive, Jason, then there is some bigger picture issues that these novice fans just don't understand. So I give him a 15, Jason. I think he's in the middle of the pack because he did bet on himself. But right now, that can easily be a 10 at the end of this thing, because he's yet to win a meaningful football game in his NFL career.
Listen, well, he has won a playoff game, but I agree with you in terms – he's overthrowing almost every week. He's not connecting with someone down the field and on big plays. And there were 2 or 3 chances. And he did hit the big one to Deshaun Jackson late in the game. Hats off to him. But there were some earlier throws. I watched a lot of that game where he missed guys deep, wide open. And I see it every week. That's really hurting his job performance. That's hurting their ability to score points, and is knocking them off the field, and putting their defense back out there, just like you said. All right, this tweet yesterday that I read here instantly, I've always been super high on Lamar Jackson's character. I love his T-shirts, no one cares, work harder. I probably had Lamar at a perfect score of 25 that relates to character. Then he put that tweet out yesterday, and I got to knock him off some points here. So I dropped him down to a 20 in character.
I dropped him to a 15. I'm the same way with you. I thought he was great as well. I said it on your show. I know a guy that recruited and coached him in Louisville. He's always been a high-standard kid. But listen, Jason, I'm just going to be honest. People don't really understand the truth of the matter of life. Life is a result-oriented business. You either win at life or you lose at life. There's not really any gray area at this thing. Just like when you walk off a field and whatever is on the scoreboard is the indicator of what happened. You lost or you won. There's no moral victories in this thing. There's no gray area. We are what we do, Jason, not what we say we do. So now issuing an apology and deleting the tweet means nothing to me. You did it. And unfortunately, it is the first time you've done it. I do believe in second chances. I do believe in those type of things. I'm a victim of it, right? The world got to see me and assume that this is how I was, and et cetera, et cetera. I had to wear big boy pants and eat it. And you know what? He's going to have to do the same. And America will forgive. That's what America does for the most part. They do forgive. But, he came out with that, and it's just showing his frustration. And you know what? If he had a circle around him, once again, that we discuss all the time, instead of a bunch of yes men, women, he would have said, they would have not let that tweet come out. There would no way that tweet would ever came out. And also, you'd have an agent, and you would already have $200 million in the bank too, but you don't. And now it looks like this could be a possible implosion. And I'm going to be honest. I'm looking at the game yesterday when they have the ball at the end of the game, which we know a check down from their minus 30 with 5 seconds kind of tells all that he can't throw a ball in the middle of the teeth of the coverage. And Harbaugh looked over there, and I saw Harbaugh's face. I'm looking at Harbaugh, and he's like, God, I can't wait to blow this roster up, or I'm fired anyway. I can just see it on his face, man. And I just think he's realizing I got to have a quarterback to be able to throw the football. And until we do, we have no shot. We've already won a Super Bowl. We've been to another. I don't know. I think he's realizing it, and I think Lamar screwed up.
The thing about them going to a Super Bowl and winning one, or winning two, actually, when they won the first one, Harbaugh wasn't there, but it was Brian Billick, and they didn't have a great quarterback. They won one with Joe Flacco, getting on a little hot streak, not a great quarterback. And so maybe he doesn't think that. You really think John Harbaugh at this point is capable of hitting the eject button on Lamar Jackson? Let's say Harbaugh survives. You think he's capable of pushing the eject button on Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, because listen, you got a guy you're about to pay astronomical generational money to, and he's this far from being hurt. And now you're done with you're done. You put this money in this guy, and he goes out and gets hurt. You're done. You have no roster movement, wiggle room, or otherwise. You put all your money in this guy, like you're done. So you didn't have to worry about Flacco getting hurt. And guess what? We can be traditional. He can actually throw the ball on time, even though he's not a great skill set quarterback. But guess what? We can run the football with him. We can play defense. And guess what? If he can continue drive, so be it. But we won't put our guys in harm's way. We won't put our defense in harm's way with Flacco and with Trent Dilfer. We'll let Ray Lewis go out here and Ed Reed, and we'll let Jamal Lewis eat, and we'll let Tony Saragusa get sacks, and we'll play defense, and we'll beat the Raiders 7-3. Like they did when Trent Dilfer hit Shannon Sharp on a 99-yard touchdown. That was their only score of the game, and they beat the Raiders that year. That is what the Ravens have been, and that is how they've won football games. This isn't the way to do it, and he knows that. And I can see him very easily saying, why would I pay $250 million to a guy who's a step slower every season? He's a step slower. And we can't live and die by this guy running around all day long with his feet and willing and having an opportunity to be injured. And we've just spent all our money. There's just no way. I'd rather get the slow, stale white dude back there who won't screw me, and we'll play defense and punt the football. And I'll come back instead of having a 37-36 shootout game. That's just not the Ravens style. That's not how they've won football games. When has the Ravens outscored you to win the Super Bowl? Never. They held you down. So
interesting stuff. Let's move to authenticity. Again, I'm going to go back to this tweet. Lamar, the language, the whole nine, is like, okay. Maybe, and the other thing, this is where authenticity is very important as it relates to the $250 million bucks, because the contract allows you to be who you really are. It's not going to make you a better person. It's going to make you be who you really are. And I know it's just a single tweet. I don't want to overreact to it. Again, I've certainly had tweets and things that have embarrassed me. But it's made me think, okay, perhaps Lamar isn't as authentic as I thought. Dropped him down to an 18 in authenticity. I see you're just like Steve Kim. You love these numbers in fives. You got him at a 15 in authenticity. You think he's hiding something from us?
Yeah, because we are what we do, not what we say we do. And that's just what we said earlier. Like, eventually, you have to separate your social media world from your private life. And once he tweeted it, why delete it? That's who you are, bro. Don't delete it now. Don't say this is who you made a mistake. No. I love when I see like the Kirk Herbstreits and all these guys always come out crying and apologizing and all this stuff. And then I love to see all their fans, great apology. You're a grown man for doing that. No, you're not. You're a liar. You are a liar. And people don't apologize if they're truthful. Jason, you have never seen an apology from me. I'll apologize right now on the spot to your face if I said something out of hand or out of whack or false. I'll say right now, Jason, you know what? I was wrong. I apologize. But I'm not saying it tomorrow because that's who I am. I'm not changing it tomorrow and saying, you know what, Jason, I apologize from what I said 2 weeks ago. It's too late, dude. It's too late. This is what we're going to see. And it's just a matter of time. Something's going to happen. And this is who we are, not what we say we are. And I can't give $250 to a cat that I really don't know how he's going to act because he didn't get an agent. He's going with his mom. He has a bunch of yes men in his circle. And then that is the frustration that's going to lead to what we saw yesterday that's going to show really what he's worth and what he is. Now, I still don't believe he's a bad kid. I still think he's a great kid. I still think we all make mistakes. God knows we have. I'm not going to throw him under the bus for that. But I'm not going to pay him either. And like I said, he deserves the money, Jason. He's not worth the money. And that is where this management team and ownership has to understand the fine line and make a grown man decision being the CEO of an organization in the NFL. He may be deserving. He's not worth it.
All right, and finally, it factor. I still got Lamar as one of the best shows in football. People love to watch him play, even if it's to see him blow up. He's still exciting with the ball in his hands. So I got him at a 22 in it factor.
Yeah, I got 15 again. This is why, though, Jason. My it factor. Let me ask you this without putting you on the spot. How do you define the it factor? Whatever it is, how do you define
exciting?
It?
Do people anticipate your performance? Or people, if he walks into a room, how excited are people? Is he must-see TV? And I think he's must-see TV.
I think it factor, which I've done a lot of work on this because I truly believe the it factor is solely how you should be judged at the end of the day when you're dead and buried. Tom Brady's it factor was his poise in the pocket, which allowed him to win 7 rings because he had the it factor, or you want to say nuts and guts, hearts, whatever it may be. I define it by this, Jason. I define it simply using these 2 words. Executive presence. You have an executive presence about you. Jason, I pick you first and pick up basketball. Out of 10 people, you're my first pick. You stole the prom queen from me. You have executive presence. Everybody in the locker room loves you. Regardless if you're a cancer or a good dude, I'm going to follow you because you have an executive presence. I may follow you to the left of the stop sign. I may follow you to the right of the stop sign. But wherever you go, I'm following because you have that executive presence. Lamar don't have the it factor. So I put him at 15 because he's yet to win in a meaningful game, meaning an AFC title, a Super Bowl, any meaningful football game. One playoff game to me is not a it factor guy who's going out here winning every year. The it factor, man, I'll be honest, there may be 3 guys in the NFL that has it right now. I don't know if a lot of these guys have it, and unfortunately, he's definitely doesn't have the executive presence. He's a freak of nature athletically. He's a gifted human, but he is an athlete playing quarterback. He is not a quarterback who is athletic.
JB's got him candlelit at a 60. I've got Lamar Jackson as a grease fire 74. JB, thank you.